Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are in the world today, I hope that you and your family are doing great. I hope that life is treating you well, and I hope that all is pleasant for you and your loved ones. And most importantly, I hope that you, my friends, are in good health. Once again, welcome to the Common Sense channel. On this channel, we get to talk about things that people know, things that people have thought about, but don't often have the time to discuss. These, my friends, are the things we talk about on this channel. So, today, as I've stated in previous video, that every now and then I would do a video venerating our ancestors. So today, I want to talk to you about some historical facts on our ancestors. The, the Black history is larger, is bigger, is greater than a month. No amount of month in a year can encompass the magnitude of Black history or the history of the Black race or Black people. Our history is way bigger than a month. So I won't say Black History Month here because I think our history is bigger than that. But for the sake of this video, I want to talk to you about some issues that I think are often forgotten, or some individuals or some figures, historical Black figures, that are often forgotten in the month of February. So, I would talk to you today about an individual, and there are a couple of them, but I want to talk to you about an individual that I believe his spirit is still lingering in our world today. And I think he's still speaking among the living. And because he is still speaking among the living, his message will never dies. And this individual is no other than Carter G. Woodson. I know every February we place in front of us a couple of individuals, but the most important one that we often see on TV, that our children are often taught about, is Martin Luther King. But Black history did not start with Martin Luther King. And Black history did not start with Carter G. Woodson. There are others before these individuals. But I bet you there are students in this country, in classroom across the United States, that have never heard of Carter G. Woodson. If you would talk about Black History Month, which he never called Black History Month, when he started this initiative, it was to celebrate on a weekly basis. So it was a Black History Week. And if you can look into Carter G. Woodson, you would learn that he was self-educated. He came from nothing and got himself up. I can almost say, as a lover of history, that Carter G. Woodson may have followed in the footsteps of the great W. E. Du Bois. These are individuals that most people don't talk about. Even many African scholars would go on to follow in the footsteps of especially W. Du Bois, and I believe that Carter G. Woodson may have followed in his footsteps. If you're talking about Black History Month, there is no way that you will celebrate this occasion without talking about the great one, Carter G. Woodson. He even talked about the miseducation of the black race. And this, my friend, as an African, can be applied across the board. Whether you're here in America, or you're in Africa, on the continent, or in the Caribbean, or in South America, wherever the black man is, his message for the black race can be echoed across the globe. Carter G. Woodson's message was on education. And I can believe with all my heart that there are numerous individuals that his spirit has embodied across this nation and across this world. And these individuals are speaking on the issue of education. When you talk of education, you are not just talking about any form of education or any kind or any types of education. Carter G. Woodson's message on education was quality education for all, especially the black race, because he felt that black people were miseducated or miseducated, or the level of education that they were receiving were not quality. And 100+ years today, we, as and the next generation or this generation, are still talking about what Mr. Carter G. Woodson was talking about. So whenever we talk of Black History Month, which the history of the black race cannot fit in a month, the history of the black race is bigger than that of a month. I often ask myself, during his time, Carter G. Woodson and many others, they were able to pull themselves up from wherever they were to gain. In fact, he was the second in history, as far as the black race is concerned, to earn a PhD from Harvard, second to W. Du Bois. And his entire life was dedicated to elevating his people. Today, how many people, how many black people out there that are doing what he did? From out of the ashes, from out of nothing, came to raise himself up, educate himself, and then never forgot where he came from, never forgot his roots, and to go on to write numerous books just on the subject of the black race. Carter G. Woodson, wherever you are, great ancestor, wherever you are, great ancestors, wherever you are, great ancestor, the message that you left for your people is still going on. We are still faced with these problems. Education is a major problem because, like they say, education is the key, but we don't know what door it opens. My thing has always been, it's not just about education, it's about quality education. What is quality education? Quality education, according to my own definition, is the ability, again, the ability for you to be able to reason, and not just reason anyhow, for you to be able to reason intellectually, for you to be able to reason common sensely, for you to be able to reason critically, and not only that, for you to be able to apply yourself. That's quality education. Because the world that we're in right now will require quality education. That's what Carter G. Woodson was talking about. So, anyone, I mean, all these so called black leaders across the globe celebrating Black History Month, if you, my friend, or my friends, are not talking about those things that Carter G. Woodson was talking about, you are not celebrating Black History Month. If it's a month, I think our history is bigger than a month. But if you, my friend, are out there talking about Black history and you're pretending to celebrate Black History Month, if you're not talking about Carter G. Woodson, you've got it wrong. Because everything he stood for was what he felt would lift up an entire race of people. Not just any kind of education now, because he was a strong advocate for quality education, equality when it came to education. That was his fight. Have you ever asked yourself how Carter G. Woodson celebrated Black History Week? It wasn't as how they do it today. No, it was different. It was a time to reflect on the struggle, the pain of Black people. Remember that song, Lift Every Voice and Sing? It came out of that era. Because at that time, Black people, not just in this country, had one common goal, which was to lift up the people, their people. When you say our people, it's not racist. If you look across the globe, you can almost tell, all statistics shows that the Black race is at the bottom. Whether they are at the bottom because of themselves or because they are at the bottom by someone or something that's by design, the question remains the same when Carter G. Woodson was around, and many others too. So we're asking ourselves, what's wrong? So when we call on the ancestors, when we reach out to them, we're reaching out to them because we have too many questions and fewer answers. We have too many problems and fewer solutions. And I can tell you with all certainty that Carter G. Woodson is still around in the minds, in the hearts, and in the bodies of many that are speaking on this subject. Education. Not just any kind of education, but quality education. The kind of education that allows you to think critically. The kind of education that allows you to build your community. The kind of education that allows you to be competent. The kind of education that allows you to compete with people that are of your same equal. The kind of education that allows you to take care of your family the kind of education that allows you to be a better citizen, the kind of education that allows you to be a better citizen for your community, the kind of education that allows you not to join gangs, the kind of education that allows you to treat a woman right, the kind of education that allows you to be a role model, the kind of education that allows you to be a better human beings for society, the kind of education that allows you to thrive for betterment, not for only yourself, but for your community, your society, and your country. That's the kind of education Carter G. Woodson was talking about. The kind of education that allows you to be upright. The kind of education that allows you not to take no nonsense from no one. The kind of education that allows you to value yourself. That's the kind of education Carter G. Woodson was talking about. So if any of you out here, you know who you are, celebrating this month as Black History Month, and you are not talking about education, quality education, the things that he cared most about, the things that he spent his entire life fighting for, you, my friend, are doing this man a great disservice. Great ancestor, Carter G. Woodson. Wherever you are, great ancestor, I know you are with the others. People like W. Du Bois, people like John Brown, individual like Nat Turner, individual like Kwame Nkrumah, individual like Stokely Carmichael, individual like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, individual like Muhammad Ali, individual like Patrice Munuba, individual like Thomas Sankara, individual like Michael Jackson, individual like Aretha Franklin, individual like Sekou Touré, individual like Maria Makeba, individual like oh shit, I can't remember, but anyway, it'll come. In great many individuals like Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, and all these individuals, and the great people before them. I know you're with them. I know, because I know. And I know the things that you stood for. Carter G. Woodson, this individual, also stood for different things, but all came together to be one. So we call on your spirit. We call on your spirit to continue to reverberate this same issue across the globe, in this country and across the globe, so that all of humanity can be one. There is no way why one race of people must be at the bottom of everything. If the God we serve, the Creator we serve, made all of us in His image like they want us to think, then we all must be equal. We must thrive. We must work with the notion that all men are created equal and the rights or the equality that we have are not given by any man to us, but these equalities or this quality to lives are given to us by the Creator. So every year, I know since I've been in this country, I've seen this over and over, even when I was in high school. You always put Martin Luther King in front of the kids. There's nothing wrong with the brother. Martin Luther King was an incredible man. He will always be in our hearts and in the hearts of every humans on this planet. But that's not Black history. It's not all of our history. And it's sad to see there's a segment of Black people that are allowing this thing to happen. This is what Carter G. Woodson would have never allowed happen, which is what he only came out with Black History Week. He never asked for a month because he used that time. Because when you ask for a month, you're opening a huge Pandora box. And then everyone is going to ask for a month. I want my own month. I want my own month. Everyone is going to be asking for their own month, which is why he did it as a week, Black History Week. So it was a time for Black people to self-reflect. It was a time for him to vent his anger, righteous anger, towards those things that he felt were lacking to Black people. And if you're out there, you keep putting Martin Luther King out there. And what's the other lady name? The one that sat on the bus. I forgot her name. Yeah. You keep putting these people out there, the ones that you singled out, when you can even be talking about Malcolm X. Can't forget about Malcolm X, because Malcolm X, whether you like him or not, he stood for things that even Martin Luther King later on came to understand as righteous fight. And a lot of people, I mean, if you go to Africa, you ask most Africans, they will tell you Malcolm X is their icon. You may not like him, but he stood for something. You should always respect those people that stood for something. Because you may not like him, but you have to respect what he stands for. And Malcolm X stood for something. Talk about him too. Put him out there. Let the kids know about him. All those Black history, historical figure that you don't talk about, put them out there. Talk about John Brown too. John Brown, in my view now, I don't know about other people, but in my view, was the first Black civil rights leader. If I don't like to call anyone a civil rights leader, no, because all rights are from God. It's from the Creator. No one is guarantees your right. You know, I know you can say activist, yeah, but civil rights leader, that don't make sense to me. Because my civil right doesn't come from no man. It comes from the Creator. I was born with it, and I will die with it, you see? So no man can guarantee, not even the government can guarantee that. You understand? So civil rights leader, I think it don't make sense to me. But John Brown, in my view now, you can disagree, but yeah, he's the first. When you teach the kids, teach them that too. Teach them the history of John Brown. Because John Brown he wasn't standing on a corner store, you know, talking about Black issue, Black liberation. He shared his blood for it. Teach the kids, whenever the Union Army went to battle, they sung in the name of John Brown. Even when things were difficult during the Civil War, the Union Army will call on the spirit of John Brown to help them out. They march singing the name of John Brown. So when you talk of Black history, include John Brown in it too. You know, Demavisi is one of them. Include him too. There are many. Their names are so countless that you can teach the kids. Don't let them go figure out that in college. You are doing them a big or huge disservice. Teach them, don't hide American history. Because here's the reason why I think you shouldn't. When you tell them when they're little, you teach them that this is for you, Donald Trump. That the curriculum on American history needs to be revisited. I'm telling you, I know there are a lot of Black people out there that are the elite. They are not pushing this, but all of us are American citizens. Like, we have to push that because our children are not being taught the real history of Black people, not just in this country, across the globe. Their immense sacrifices, their contribution to humanity, not just this country now, to humanity, whether they're here in America or in South America, in the Caribbean, in Africa. The kids need to know that. When I was a little boy growing up in Africa, we just didn't learn about the history of Africa. We learn about the history of the world. I learned about things about America without even being here. So let's teach the children. Don't just every Black History Month you put Martin Luther King in front of them, and then you put, like, I can't remember her name, but there's another lady before her that sat on a bus, but they didn't feature her anyway. And then you should talk about Harriet Tubman too, because she was great. You know, her contribution to not just because when you look at Black history, you're looking at American history. So when you're leaving out things, you're not talking about them. Basically, you're not talking about America. I know some of you like to say America is this and that. America is you know, bright and beautiful, everything. No, you're lying. You know you're lying. It's always because when you tell the kids the truth, when they grow up, they're not going to be rebellious because you just tell them the truth. Because obviously, they're going to learn these things. Whether you teach them early on, they're still going to learn it. If they don't learn it in elementary, maybe elementary is too, they're too young for that. But if you teach them in middle school, high school, that's good. If you don't teach them in middle school and high school, they're going to learn in college. And when they learn, they're not going to be happy with you. That's why I think they need to rewrite the American history book. Donald Trump is for you. Put someone in there. Well, you're going to get rid of that department. So, I don't know. Anyway, yeah. If you're going to get rid of that department, then I think Black people need to find a way to teach their own history. Africa, I don't know. Africa, they're a little bit slagging. Maybe the Caribbean and South America, a little bit on top of this. But yeah, teach the kids the real history. There's nothing wrong. You cannot hide America past. America past is always going to be there. It's like your skin. You can't run away from your skin. Can you run away from yourself? Bob Marley said, but you can't run away from yourself. Can't run away from yourself. So teach the kids, right? That's why I'm doing this video, to let you know. It's about time that you teach the kids the real history of this country. There's nothing wrong. Don't listen to these bozos going out there talking about how America, that's not who we are. You know who I'm talking about. They're always going there when their bellies are full. Now their butts are going to come out now. Everybody going to know who they are. And then they stand there and say, that's not who we are. You kidding? If you really want to understand American history, put them in the history books so the kids can understand what happened in this country, what happened to the ancestors. They don't need to wait till when they're in college to learn these things. And you know what that does to you at that level. Just teach them when they're younger and they understand the history. You know what it does to them? It makes them work hard. That's what happened during Carter G. Woodson time. All the generation that came from that era, they were willing to learn beyond themselves because at that moment they understood where they've come from. One of my favorite songs I love to listen to is Lift Every Voice. Whenever I listen to that song, I can hear the ancestors. I don't know about you now. When I listen to that song, there are a couple of songs I can hear. There are a couple of musicians. When Erica Badu is singing, I can hear spirituality coming out of her. You know, when Fela Kuti is singing, I can hear spirituality, the ancestors speaking through him. You know, when Bob Marley is singing, I can hear the ancestor speaking through him. And if you want to know if what's his name, Kendrick Lamar, when he's rapping, you can hear multiple ancestors speaking through these individuals. But only those who have ears can hear it, and only those who have eyes can see it. So the ancestors are still around. So when you're talking about American history or the history of the world, don't hide them from the kids. You're doing yourself a great disservice too. And most importantly, you're doing the kids a great disservice by not telling them the truth. The truth is what sets you free. It's knowing the truth now. You gotta know the truth. The truth will set you free. You don't have to believe in the truth. All you need to do, my friends, is to know the truth. And you, my friend, will be set free. So, I'm doing this video, as I've always done, to honor my ancestors, wherever they are, whether they're here in America. I know their spirits, so they're everywhere. You know, that's the omnipotent. You understand? Omnipotent. So the spirits are here. They are in Africa, our ancestors. They are in the Caribbean. They are in South America. They are in Australia, Europe, wherever. They're there. And they, my friend, are watching over you. You know? One thing I love about Donald Trump is Donald Trump never forgets his ancestors. He knows them. Anytime he gives a speech, when he talks about the people that turn, the men and women that built this country out of the blood and sweat, you know who he's talking about? His ancestors. Not only his ancestors, but he's talking about all the ancestors. And he is using, most of you don't know, he is using their power as his strength to keep pressing on. And when you listen to his speeches, you don't get it. All you're doing is just listening. That's how you gain strength. You build your strength off of the power of your ancestors. That's why whenever you listen to him give speech, he always venerate them. Only wise people do that. Only wise individuals do that. If you want to be wise, never take it from the common sense channel. Never forget to venerate your ancestors, because you are living off of their backs. You are living off of their strength. They enable you every day to keep fighting on. That's the reason why you, my friend, must always venerate them. So Black History Month, it should be Black History Week. So that way you can teach the kids the history. And if you're not talking about those things that were so dear to Carter G. Woodson, my friends, you are not celebrating Black History Week, because the history of the black race, my friends, cannot fade in a month, not even in a year. It's bigger than that. As I've always said in my video, the greatest thing that can happen to anyone is not the day you're born, the day you had your first child, the day you graduated from high school, college, the day you got your first degree, the day you bought your first car, the day you got your first apartment. None of that stuff. The greatest thing that can happen to anyone is the day you discover yourself. Because from that day on, as did Carter G. Woodson from an early age, when he discovered himself, he set on a journey to liberate not the physical body of his people, but the minds of his people. This is a man that spoke many languages, taught himself everything. And if you're living in this day and age, there is no reason, absolutely no reason, why you can't do it. Never forget your ancestors. I hope that you and your family, I hope you're learning from this experience, this video. I hope that you and your family is doing well. And I hope that life is treating you well wherever you are in this world. Stay blessed and have a pleasant day.